GT channel with Sam Itani, James McKeon, and Taro Koki.
Hello, we are here from the USA where we like to be #1 in everything, even Corona cases. We're killing everyone. So anyways, we are all locked down here. Taro over there in Culver City, or is it? Yeah, I think it's Culver City.
El Segundo.
El Segundo. He is the man who makes all of this happen, and sometimes not happen, but most of the time happen.
Hey.
And then we have James McKeon, who's over from Pasadena, and he is the host of the No Breaking.
Pasadena?
Pasadena? Where did that come from, Sam?
Hollywood.
Oh, my Lord.
Hollywood. It's all L.A., guys, and I'm in Orange County, which they call right now the Florida of California. We have a great, awesome special guest today, Jann Mardenborough, who was a Nissan Academy winner. He is just a true talent. He's driving in the GT Championships. Is it Super GT Championships? That's, I think, the official name now, right?
Super GT.
Championships. And Taro, I don't know how you got him, but, their season starts pretty soon. Awesome. So go ahead and take it away.
Hey, man, Jann and I go way back.
All right.
Not just you, Sam.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, Jann, welcome to our show. Glad to have you guys, man.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, I think we have to start with the elephant in the room, I guess. I mean, you've been living in Japan, kind of sheltered from the global community. Japan's a world on its own. The hard question is, what's your favorite Japanese food?
My favorite food in general is unagi don.
Unagi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love unagi.
I love unagi.
Hey, Jann, can you get a little closer to the mic, maybe? You're kind of a little bit echoing a bit. So. Yeah, better.
That's good. Unagi, that's great. So we have a lot of stuff to ask you. Sam and James, they have some questions on their own. Let's start. First of all, you won GT Academy in 2011 when you were 19 years old, right?
Yes.
Did you have any real racing experience before that? And did you actually dream? Did you actually think you would win the thing?
Well, before he gets into that, Taro, why don't you explain what the GT Academy is for some people who don't know what it is?
Well, GT Academy is a competition held by Nissan and our friends at Sony, Polyphony, Gran Turismo franchise. Jann, you can probably explain it better than I can. Thousands and thousands of people, try out online, and it's basically the pinnacle of online racing. And the winner gets a seat to drive a real race car drive, right?
Pretty much. So, the original concept is to see if we can take a gamer who's fast on Gran Turismo and to see if they can still have that speed in a real life racing car. That's just a brief. That was the original brief between I've heard the story of how it got created, and that was it. It was the idea was thought up in a British pub between two guys, one from Sony and one from Nissan, and that was it. And then they were like, okay, let's see where we can go from here. And the idea just kind of spawned from early 2000s, and then 2007 continued on until I think 2016 or 15 when it finally stopped.
Did you have any experience behind a real race car before?
No, zero. So I was like, the lowest step you can be. I had my road license. I had a little BMW E30 at the time, and I'd never driven on a track. The fastest I'd been was like 90 miles an hour on the motorway in the UK.
Allegedly 90 miles an hour, right, on the motorway there, Jann, because I don't think the speed limits get you up to 90, but allegedly maybe 90 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly.
The speed almost said 90, but it was a 90s car, so it's probably out by 20 miles an hour anyway.
Exactly. We're
right,
definitely under the speed limit. Definitely.
Numbers won't be coming after you.
So we have a question from Instagram when we announced that we'd be having you. Send7 on Instagram asked, what was the biggest challenge going from sim to real racing?
Biggest challenge was vision, like where you look as a driver. For me, I had like a little, I think it was like 20-inch TV screen, so my eyes, like, they never moved. They were just, everything was in focus. I didn't have to look into a corner or anything. But when you get into a racing car, when there's an instructor sat next to you and he's got like a mirror set up so he can see your face and your eyes, where you're looking, where he's, he's training you. And like, I'm turning left into a corner at Silverstone, and then he's just looking at the mirror, looking at my face, and I'm still like looking down at the apex when the next corners are over there. And just to retrain your brain into looking into corners, looking into a different direction where you're traveling, that takes months. That was the big challenge, yeah, because it's just, well, it was 19 years of kind of, less than 19 years, but say, over 10 years of just being fixated on one particular space with your eyes, and then retraining your brain to look into a different direction where you're going. It's that takes quite a lot of time.
I see.
So that was the biggest challenge.
Were you always a gamer?
Ever since I was 9, I guess. PlayStation 1, GT1. There was a shooting game as well that I used to play. I can't remember the name. I need to remember it, but it was mega. That's where it started, really. Just a normal gamer kid, loves PlayStation games. Yeah, shooting games.
Were you always a gamer? Cool. So you won GT Academy. How does the conversation go after that? I mean, I think your first race was Dubai right after that?
Yeah, so win GT Academy, I lived in a place in the UK called Wales, and then I moved to basically Silverstone. Lived there for just 6 months.
Okay.
So every day I was there training with the instructors, variety of training, fitness, in car, like mental training as well, which is a big thing. But so the original goal is to do the Dubai 24 hours at the start of the following year, so 2012.
Okay.
To be able to do that race, you need to have an international license. So you need to do a certain amount of races at club level to be able to get that license. So during those 6 months, I was doing races almost every weekend, trying to get enough, and they call it signatures, so 12 signatures. 12 club level races get you an international license. So that was the plan, to do those and train and then get ready for the main prize, which was the Dubai 24 hours. That was meant to be it. There's your prize, do your race, that's it. But it kind of carried on.
What was like that, your first 24-hour endurance race?
It was my second one, really. It was, I'm delving deep into GT Academy, and a kind of bad memories as well. So this was my second 24-hour race. The first one I did, the car broke at Silverstone. It was a 24-hour race, and we were driving this Nissan 370Z GT4. Now, it had a brand new engine, this 4-litre. Normally Zs are 3.7s. This was a 4-litre specially built motor. I mean, it had like an extra 40 horsepower over standard. It was around that, probably like 410 horsepower over the GT4 spec. And 3 hours into the race, when I was in the car, the crankshaft snapped. And I mean, that was the first time I'd been in the car and it's broken, and I was so fresh. I'm like, did I break the car? What's going on? What's going to happen to me? Really, just like a mechanical failure. The thing just snapped and the engine just seized there and then. It was the most weird sensation. So I'm out in Silverstone in a 24-hour race. It's dark. There's no lights. And when there's 60 cars on track and your door happens to open onto the racing line, it's not very nice. It's just lights and cars coming past at hundreds of miles an hour. And then Dubai was great. That was the first gamer podium, actually, because it was me, Lucas Ordonez, Jordan Tresson, and Brian Heitkotter. So all 4 of us were GT Academy winners through various years. and we finished third in class. So that was the first ever podium of an all gamer lineup, and yeah, awesome race. We should have won that race. We had a problem where the air filter was right in. We've got like a little cutout on the bumper for the Z in the GT4 car at the time, and just a normal kind of K&N filter exposed. And basically during my stint again, there was so much sand on the track, and this just got clogged. The air filter got clogged full of sand and sucked it into the inlet. So car stopped for about 40 minutes, and we had to get towed back. But yeah, that was good experience.
That's awesome.
Well, I was going to ask Jann a question. I want to know, Jann, I mean, in that race where you were racing with the other GT Academy graduates, is there any competition between you graduates in regards to who is the fastest person on track? And
you're not supposed to ask that.
Yes, you can, and then still ask who's the fastest in game as well. I guess GT. Is there still any pressure that goes amongst you guys where you compete like that?
Yeah, there was, and you know, everybody knows it, but we never spoke about it. But it's everything, especially, you know, met so many people that have been pro drivers that were my mentors, and the one thing they always have in common in saying is when you have a teammate and you race against him, you have to be faster than him. You have to, otherwise you won't get a look in. So at Dubai, I remember that Lucas did the qualifying session for the car. And of course, because he's the guy with most experience, he's done 24 hours before, he's been racing for 3 years. And I was pissed. I was like, man, why can't I do that? You know, I feel I'm on pace, come from practice, but I didn't get my shot. But my mentor at the time, he could see that I was, you know, I wanted to be the, you know, golden boy. You know, I wanted to be the guy that put the car on and, you know, qualified the car. So on Saturday morning, just before the race, we have a session called warm up, and you know, it's another session just to get the car, getting the drivers, everybody fresh and ready for the race. And yeah, the team put on a new set of slicks, which is really unusual for warm up to do that. It's a big risk, you know, if you shut the car up before in warm up, there's no chance you're going to start the race. So anyway, I went out there like banzai crazy, did my lap, and it was quicker than Lucas's. But only a small amount, but that's all. That was good with me. I didn't care if it was that big or this big. I was quicker. I knew I could. And in that moment, I was, you know, I don't know. It's just the ego is such a sensitive, precious thing in sport. And in any sportsman, their ego, it's, you know, insanely fragile. But that moment, my ego just went like that. To me, it was it's everything. Who's fastest on the game? Jordan Tresson. He was always fast on GT. I mean, even after he won GT Academy and he was racing for real, he'd be always playing GT still. And we'd go on these events together, and there'd be like a GT rig set up, and he'd be on it all the time. Just saying, come on, guys, try and beat me. And we're like, nah, mate, it's fine. Like, put it down. It's okay. Yeah.
Well, confidence is really important, though, right? I mean, in any sport, I guess. I mean, if you lose confidence, you can't even, you know, bring out the best of your performance. Yeah,
it's big. Whereas back then, it was, you know, there was confidence, but it was more the image that I wanted to control. So I knew that I was fast, but other people didn't know I was fast. So, you know, lap time, all that people have to go off in motorsport is just lap time. Now I understand there's more to it, because there's more to it in, you know, once you get to a professional level, there's a lot more things that go on that are very nuanced, that have a big say in whether you get a contract or not. Whereas back then, there's only a few guys deciding your career progression. So if you're seen as the new guy, and then there's a guy that's been here, you know, 3 years, be it Lucas, Jordan, and I don't know, in my head, it was like, right, I got to be faster than them. For me to be able to get to the next level, I've got to be faster than them. So it wasn't war, and we were all good friends, but we all wanted to beat each other because it was like there's a finite amount of seats. There's only a small amount of Nissan race cars out there. We were sponsored by Nissan, so we all four of us can't race forever. So it was like, just I needed that kind of to be seen as the guy that was quickest for me to get to the next level. Yeah, very weird situation. It's still like that now, to be honest. I say it's weird. It's not. It's like that now. You're racing with your teammates.
Cool. So you raced at Le Mans. I think I saw you at Le Mans as well. You were in a Formula car, an LMP2 car, or was it?
Yes.
What did it feel when you got, you started in a GT car and then you went into open wheel? What was that like, that transition?
So going from GT to LMP2, the difference isn't that big in terms of driving style, but going from, say, GT to a Formula 3 car. So I did Formula 3 in 2013, British Formula 3 and European Formula 3. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my career. It's unreal. Yeah. Because when you're so impressionable, especially when you're new to something, right? And to drive the GT3 car at the time, the GT-R, you had to put 120 kilos of brake pressure through the brake pedal to stop the car, because it was just a big route. Everything, all the actions were really blunt to get. You had to bruise the car to get it through a track. Whereas the Formula 3 car, it's just this delicate 240 horsepower thing that has so much downforce, and you have so much influence on the car's balance. And coming from that to Formula, I was terrible for a good year, like awful. I didn't get it. I just didn't get the downforce. I didn't get the way that I have to control the pitch in the car, because all my inputs are really blunt because I've been used to GT.
Right.
Man, it took ages. Like, I did Formula 3 in Japan in 2016, and then it clicked. Then I'm fighting for a championship, getting wins, whereas back then it was the hardest progression I've ever had to experience.
Yeah, because
Taro, I don't think there's open wheel cars in LMP2 or sports cars. So, and then Formula cars are the open wheel ones. There's no Formula cars in Le Mans. Just to get that straight. So.
Well, he was doing. Well, you were racing.
They're called prototypes. Yeah, he did. Jann did Formula 3, was it, or what is it, in Japan? with the Japanese. Those are Formula cars. So, just
LMP2 cars are the
prototypes. those are
not considered. Right. Yeah, but they have a lot of downforce compared to.
Oh yeah, they're the fastest things out there. So so definitely.
Well, thank you, Sam.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, I got confused. I'm going, wait.
Yeah. My question was, so when you did Le Mans, didn't you get on the podium that year?
No, and in the results we finished third in LMP2, but we didn't get to go on the podium because after the race we finished fourth, right?
Okay.
And then 2 weeks later, Le Mans have a really bad habit of doing this with the organisers. It's not very good. So I had my engineer, I was on the simulator doing some Formula 3 practice for whatever track I was doing. And the main engineer just randomly paused the sim. He comes in the room and he said, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The good news is you finished third at Le Mans. The bad news is you didn't get to go on the podium. That's true, because it's going on the podium in that race. Yeah, it's everything. It's the best podium in the world, and in any race, I think, outside of probably Monaco and F1. But I've got the trophy. I had to wait 4 years for it though, because the team owner at the time, we just didn't meet up, and now we have, and I've got this little.
4 years.
Wow. Yeah, it was on his mantelpiece for years. Yeah.
Oh.
And he gave it to me last year, actually.
Wow. Did you feel like you reached some kind of a goal at that point, or was it still a stepping stone for more things to come at that point?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it really. I just wanted to do Le Mans a lot more times. I guess doing the I don't know. I think I didn't really have a goal. I just wanted to continue on racing and just see what happens because I didn't expect to do Le Mans. Anyway, I didn't expect to do Formula 3, any Formula cars at all because GT Academy, GT cars, Nissan don't have any Formula cars. They have the GT3 car. It doesn't make sense for them to put me into Formula 3, my thinking. So I didn't envision my career going in that direction anyway. So I was just on for the ride. I was like, okay, you're driving this next year, cool. You know, I'm happy to do that.
Right, right. Do you stop at, you know, some days? Do you just stop and say, "Holy crap"? You know, I used to be a gamer, and I'm a professional race car driver.
Yeah, sometimes I don't do it often anymore. I never used to do it often anyway before that, but it's only when I only think about it is when I get questions like that. So I used to be a gamer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did. That was cool. Yeah, it's scary. Like if I think about what could have been in another parallel universe, there'll be another Jann Mardenborough probably now working for a furniture company designing sofas. I don't know, for IKEA maybe, something like that. That'll be it. Who occasionally goes on a track day in his Beta BMW road car every couple of months. That'll be it.
Cool, cool. What do you think? You mentioned, you know, trying out Formula cars was the biggest challenge. You know, we saw, you know, Nürburgring, the incident at Nürburgring was probably a big challenge. How do you overcome those big challenges that you've faced?
I guess it's once you figure out what you're good at, you don't stop at wanting to improve yourself. And for me, with racing, that's the only thing I'm good at. That's the only thing I can say to myself. That's the best thing I can do. And with all the challenges you have to overcome, it's like, well, I still want to go to race cars. I still want to do what I'm doing. I love what I do. It's like my ultimate. It's my job and it's my passion at the same time. It's this is what I'm made to do. It's the only thing I enjoy. Well, one of the only things I enjoy 100%. All the hurdles that come with it, all the rubbish you have to deal with. I enjoy that rubbish because it's part of motorsport. And man, yeah, there's no better feeling of, you know, once you do all the things and then you're on the grid, just about to start a race. It's the best feeling in the world because you're on the grid, going to race with all these guys around you, and it's mega. So I guess that with all the challenges that I've had to overcome, they've been almost not easy. That's a bad word, but it's like, okay, I still want to go racing. I still want to improve myself. Let's do it.
Yeah, and how many years have you been with Super GT now?
This is going to be my 5th year, 5th season.
Wow. You know, I'm sure it's easier now, but like the first time when you started racing for them, you know, you were talking about challenges, but I'm taking the language barrier with some of the Japanese other drivers, the Japanese engineers, the owner. I mean, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I'm still dealing with that.
You're still dealing with that.
How's your Japanese?
It's not very good. It's Choto.
Very good. So, I mean, is it like, you know, listening to their broken English, do you have a translator there? I mean, how's it working over there? Or how has it worked too?
Okay, the last 2 years with the team I'm with now, Kondo Racing, their team owner, his English is good. He can speak good English. My engineers, their English is really good. One of them English is almost perfect. And my main engineer, his English is good also, he can understand. Within Nismo itself, it can be a bit of a problem sometimes, but the people that the people that I need to talk to, their English level is good enough, and they can understand. And certainly writing a race report, it's in English, they can understand completely. But yeah, it's like if I spoke Japanese, or if I knew more, it would be a lot better. But I'm learning. I'm slowly getting better, but I'm still not at a level where I'm not fluent. I'm far off from that. And then, in the junior categories, say 3 years ago when I was with another team with Nissan, with Impul, that iconic Calsonic livery, the blue one. So the team owner there, Hoshino-san.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Legend,
I love this guy. If there was one team I'd want to race for again, it'd be him, just to be partnered with him. His English is zero. Like,
I know.
we still managed to communicate together because he gets it. He's a racer. He just says, "Oh yeah, full attack. Crash, daijoubu, no problem. If crash, we repeat the attack, daijoubu, no problem. Just push."
That's a nice owner. He says, you push it as hard as you can. It's okay if you bend the car.
It's unusual for Japan. It's very unusual, which is why I loved racing with him at the time. Passion was just like, everybody's heard stories of Hoshino-san and the way that his temper goes, but like he will destroy stuff and show real emotion and passion for the sport if you do something wrong. So he'll tell you if you do something wrong, but if you do something right, you put the car on pole or you fight for a win, he'll show you his love for you. So
have you seen examples of him losing it?
Yeah, there's a lot.
For a long time he was known as the fastest man in Japan because he was and this is what he was racing during the days of Satoru Nakajima and some really fast guys, but they said Hoshino-san was the fastest, so that's cool. So
I was Kondo-san.
Yeah, Kondo-san's great. He's I didn't know it until I joined the team, but he used to race for Nissan for many years as well, and at Le Mans and in SuperGT also. And he has some strong passions, but he's kind of the opposite in the way that he expects to go racing. So with Kondo-san, it's a different set of challenges sometimes where you do a race and the car has to be pristine almost, and it's a different way of you don't want to think that it affects you sometimes, but he's the team owner, you got to listen to him. And luckily for the last year we had no incidents, and he's always been happy. And within the Kondo Racing itself, we have different tires. For example, we have Yokohama tires rather than Bridgestone, and there's a method you have to change the way you think using a different set of tires for manufacturing. You have to find the best way to get lap time out of them. And it's been really good. He's got some strong passion as well. He has he wants he's more of a if there's a 50-50 chance, or more, say if there's like a 70-30 chance of wanting to do something, he would always go for the gamble. He would always let's gamble.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, so it's interesting. He wants to win big, and if there's a choice of going on wets or slicks when it's kind of marginal, he'd be like, okay, we go to slicks. Let's gamble. If this pays off, we're gonna go big.
That's so un-Japanese, Taro.
He's a risk taker.
There's not many Japanese risk takers out there, so that's cool.
Wow, yeah, Japanese are usually pretty conservative, but when it comes to racing, I guess not.
So Jann, are you pretty much used to the strategies of putting on the weight? If you win a race, the handicap system. I mean, that really, I always thought, man, that's really weird because you're not really out there to win every race, because then you're going to get handicapped with weight, right, the whole time. So
it's it works in SuperGT. It's good because it's a sport, but it's also an entertainment, and so nobody wants to see the same car out there lapping, race out.
Formula One.
Well, hopefully this year will be interesting. I think for position 3, maybe it'll be interesting for
Yeah.
So top 2's Mercedes is going to be this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Super GT, it's you can play it both ways. You can kind of, you know, go at it from round 1, round 2, and get all the weight in the car, get all the success ballast, and then be nowhere for like round 3, or maybe round 4, 5. The car be really heavy. You'll have an air restrictor, probably no chance for a result. Or you can kind of play the game where, you finish P3, P4 for the first few races. You get a lot of points, but the car is relatively light compared to if you won a lot of the races, and win a championship. I think the car that won the championship last year, I don't think it won a race last year.
Yeah.
Boss. And so you can play it that way, or you don't even have to play it. You could kind of just fall into that. I mean, I wish I could play that kind of game, not wanting to win a race, but yeah, we haven't had the performance to be able to do that currently. I hope this year it'd be like that, but yeah, we never know. I think it's cool, when the car's, you can kind of get lucky as well. If your car's heavy and it happens to be wet, you can still get a result out of the car if it's wet. So,
right.
Yeah, it mixes it up. I mean, quite a few good championships have it like that. That's good for fans. So, British touring cars, they use success bias, I think, currently, and they have a huge audience. We have a huge audience all the time, and it's for the drivers. It's kind of another tool in their chest of the box of excuses. So you have many things with setup and engineering, and
because it's never your fault.
Yeah, so we have weights. So if someone says, "Oh, you're slow this weekend," "Oh, yeah, but the car's heavy." It's another tool.
So, yeah, and I've got a quick question for you. Obviously, you've been racing now close to almost 10 years, which is a significant time, and you've raced across different series and different championships and so forth. But what have you found to be of the cars that you've been driving when you've been racing? Which has been the cars that you've really enjoyed driving the most? I mean, I know that people when I talk to other racers, they say there's cars that obviously they race in, that while it's fast and they enjoy that, they say it's not quite the most pleasant experience to be driving because it can be difficult. So what is it that you've found as you've had the most enjoyment behind the wheel of the range of cars that you've worked with?
As road cars or race
No,
cars?
race cars.
So at the end of the year, we Nismo put on this event called Nismo Festival, and they have Nismo. They have a workshop, a garage in a place called Zama in Japan, where they have every single race car they've ever built.
Yep.
And every year they'll bring out a selection of these race cars to put on a show for the fans at the end of the year for 2 days.
Yep.
And we'll get to drive, the drivers, we get to drive a lot of these cars. And ever since I went there in 2014 to watch, and then as a driver in Japan, I love this event. It's my favorite event of the year. It's kind of on a level of Goodwood where you get to drive cool stuff.
Yep.
So my favorite car from that era, driving around, I've drove it a couple of times now, and it's Kondo-san's old Le Mans car. It's the R33 GT-R LM. So it's still an RB26. I don't know. I think turbo.
Is that the yellow liveried one?
No, it's the white and blue one.
Okay.
From I think it's 98.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know which spec. It wasn't the top class. It was maybe GT2. I don't think it was GT1. But yeah, it's got a livery on the side. It says "Keep the Dream Alive." It was on Gran Turismo 2, I think it was. Yeah, and that's mega because it's pretty much a road car with some overall cage, and it's a bit wider and a bit more boost. But just the way it handles, I don't know, those kind of era cars where you still have 3 pedals, because they still have 3 pedals. Those the positioning of everything has to be perfect, and the weighting of everything has to be perfect. So the way that the clutch goes in and the actual gearbox lever as well, it's almost like Yes, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Just the weighting is perfect, and the gearbox is mega on it. The pedal placement is perfect. The way the steering wheel.
The R33, huh?
Sorry?
I think it's an R33, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Just the weight of the thing, and it's got carbon brakes as well, which I didn't expect. It's got those early generation carbon brakes, which take an absolute age to warm up. Like go in 260k into Fuji turn 1, and then you hit the brakes. Usually they fire up straight away, whereas this car, you hit them and nothing happens for like 1.5 seconds. You hit them, it's like, I'm not slowing down. Okay, now I'm
And then, Jan, with these, when they get to drive, obviously the ones in the collection, how close to 10/10 are you pushing them?
Oh, no, I'm 10/10, man. Like,
There, that's perfect. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to know. Yeah, that's good to know.
You know, I get gas. Like I had these GoPros set up this last year. I was so excited. I had all these GoPros set up, and I had put more in the car in all these positions. And I later found out the file was corrupted. I was gutted because during that time, you know, I get an email about a month before to tell me which cars I can drive, and this car was on there. And also Michael Crum, he's a Nissan driver.
Yeah.
GT1 world champion. He always drives his GT1 car. So from 2009 or 2010, he'll drive his GT1 car at Nismo Festival. So this is I forget which engine it is, but it's the V8. It's out of the Nissan Armada. So it's a 4.5 litre V8, I think. I mean, it sounds like God coughing. It's unreal. The thunder is it's mad. And it's got a sequential, and we decided to race. So we were like, okay, let's race each other. So we both go out, and this R33 smoked the GT1 car.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he wasn't pushing 10/10, and he kept on saying you were pushing flat out, and I was like, yeah, of course.
Well, that's good to know, though, because when we see those videos now, we know that you're giving it 10/10. These are all good things, the reference points.
Yeah. I wanted the onboard to prove it, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to turn 1, I'm locking rears, and I'm like, man, this is a priceless car. If I shunt this thing, I'm done. But at the same time, I find it really exciting that I'm on the limit.
And since the file was corrupted, it just gives you an excuse to ask to do it again now, right?
Yeah. I'll set this year, hopefully we do it again.
Jan, which is your favorite GT-R? This is the R33, but you know, out of all the GT-Rs you've driven, which one's your favorite?
The 33.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably because of this car, yeah?
Yeah.
No, not this one, but the race car.
I think it's the styling. I love the styling of the 33, but I say this when I had a 32 as a road car a couple of years ago, and that's the 33 still was my favorite, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try the original Godzilla. I'll try the original GT-R, and I loved it. It was mega, but one of the only, in my head, I come to sometimes stupid conclusions. So in my head, my choice for choosing a 32 over a 33 buying wise was because the 32 has a 7 litre bigger fuel tank than the 33. And that was somehow the reasoning to get the 32. I don't know. Strange.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, less trips to the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gas is expensive in Japan.
Hey, Jan, did you ever drive that Blade glider, or remember the 3-wheel Nissan LM car? Do you remember that?
Oh, the Delta Wing.
The Delta Wing.
Yeah.
No, I never driven that.
You never driven that? Yeah. I think Lucas drove it too, right?
Yes.
I think he drove it. I wanted that was so weird.
Yeah, I think they retired that one.
Yeah, they did.
As Jan was coming up, I think.
Oh,
right?
there it is, right there, right.
Oh, you're talking about okay.
But Jan did drive the GT-R LM Nismo though at Le Mans, and it wasn't probably Nismo's finest hour, I think, at the racetrack.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Due to there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and at the time the backers behind the real kind of strong arm backers behind it left just as that thing was getting off the ground, and ideally the car needed another year, but without those people within Nissan, it wasn't going to happen. It had to go out there and then had to have 3 cars ready for Le Mans in 2015. And you know, this car didn't have a hybrid. It was designed to have a hybrid system, and it wasn't. When we raced, we didn't have the hybrid because this was designed by another company who failed us. Basically, that was it. Not on behalf of us. Yeah. And once they failed, they couldn't bring us this proper hybrid system. The car was destined to have, you know, a tough result because that hybrid was designed to stop the car. It was a huge flywheel, and basically that was the car's brakes. It did the majority of the braking. Right. So this car wasn't designed to have. You can see a picture there. It has no brake ducts. Whereas at Le Mans, we're hacking into the. If you look at a picture of this car now and the car that we raced at Le Mans, we have brake ducts where the team's literally hacking into the front of the bodywork, trying to get brake air for the brakes. So it's just an unfortunate event of circumstances, which the end result was a car that was almost it was premature.
Yeah, the front wheel drive one, right? That was right.
Front wheel drive. That's like weird. But so yeah, can you tell me a little bit about the upcoming season? What do you expect? What's what's going on, especially with the 2020 being such a weird year, you know?
Yeah. So this weekend it's round 1 of Super GT. We are racing at Fuji Speedway. Racing for Car 24, Kondo Racing. GT-Rs this year, it's the first year actually of the new regulations where we have a lot of the parts are common parts. So all 3 manufacturers, we have similar suspension components, same as DTM. And this year, the GT-R compared to others, and especially Kondo with the Yokohama tire, we're kind of much more closer to the pecking order now. We can actually fight going from testing as well. So it looks good. I'm excited for it. Because this is the closest Super GT's been in a long time in terms of people being close, and all 4 tire manufacturers being relatively close to each other. I just hope it isn't wet because we don't have the strongest wet tire in the world. But it looks like there's going to be 31 millimeters of rain on Saturday, which is going to be fun.
Yeah, you guys are getting a lot of rain right now.
Yeah, it's just on the edge of rainy season to summer. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully Sunday they decide it's going to be summer and it will just be dry.
How do you think it's going to be racing with no people in the stands?
It's going to be strange. I mean, when we're racing, you're
not looking up at the stands, of course.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, Fuji, we have those fans that have the big ass poles.
Big flags.
Yeah. And they go for the whole race. They're like this, just waving the flag, and you see that. Like when you go on the straight, you're doing 300k. You're like, wow, they're still going. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, also before the race as well, it is nice, especially on the grid, when you have everybody up there just wanting, take a picture or talk to you about the car. So it's going to suck that they're not going to be there for that. Hopefully, the situation will change later down the line so that we can get the fans back. But I think the organisers, GTA, they've got some plans for the drivers to do, so we can kind of put on a display they can see online as well. Because we've still got cameras there, it's going to be live and whatnot, but just with no fans. So I think we've got to do a bit more to put on a different show, because now the schedule's changed, because now we have qualifying on Sunday morning and the race Sunday also, whereas normally we have practice Saturday, then qualifying a bit later than just the race Sunday, but now it's quali on and the race on Sunday.
Have you had time to test sufficiently with the COVID restrictions?
Yeah, we've had this last month, we've got so late last month and last week, 10 days ago. We had some testing. We've had 2 tests. One at Fuji, which went really well actually. We were on paper it looks you finished 9th. That's terrible, but we were actually 6/10 off with a car which wasn't handling particularly nice, and it was really encouraging. So compared to last year, we've made a big step. And the test at Suzuka, which was good. I'm still smiling about it, even though it means nothing because it's a test. Doesn't matter. But we were quickest, which was good.
That's great. That's all.
And especially at Suzuka as well, whereas usually for the Yokohama tire, it's a bit tough because there's so much energy going into the tire. Whereas I think with this year's car, it's actually mechanically lighter on the tire because there's less energy going into it, and the tire can kind of survive and not get overloaded. So even for Suzuka Turn Sector 1, which is just like the highest loadings you can imagine at a circuit, we're doing all right. So all bodes positive. I just hope, everything kind of comes to a plan.
Well, I'm going to be pulling for you, I mean, usually I have a couple friends who are always racing in Super GT, but this year, I don't even know if, Akira Ida, he's a team owner. He's still driving on his own, but he's usually GT 300 now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm rooting for you, man. I will hope bring it home.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll do.
We'll be watching the live stream.
Definitely.
Rooting for you. So, Jann, where can our fans find you on social? How do they follow you?
So I've got a Instagram. I've got a website as well, which is linked there. Also Twitter. Yeah, those are 3 things.
James,
I mean,
you are on it, man.
I try. This is what I'm here for.
Hey, Jann, if you ever need a publicist, you know where to go. This guy right here, he is on it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm mainly on Twitter, Instagram. Twitter and Instagram is mainly. Facebook, I haven't updated that page in a long time, but yeah, always on Twitter.
For old guys, you don't need to do Facebook, man.
and Sam, I like to just make sure you know that I'm following, just to, as always, to make these.
I saw that you're following all of it. Good man. Yeah, like I said, if Jann, you need a publicist, you got
I'm a team player.
He's your man.
So.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jann. I know you're a busy guy. You have a race this week, and it's kind of early for you, but it was a pleasure to have you on Podspeed.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank you, man. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, good luck this weekend, Jann.
Thanks.
All right. Cheers.
Good luck, Jann. Bye.
So with that being the case, where we go?
It was kind of unfortunate that the audio wasn't working.
We still have Jann. Hey, Jann, man, you don't want to leave?
I'll stick around for a bit.
You do?
All right.
Oh, awesome.
All right.
Oh,
Stick
even
around.
better. Even better.
Great.
Oh, awesome. So what we do after our guest is, James usually does a driving evaluation of whatever he drove for free, the week before, the freeloading journalist he is. And,
That's right. Totally. Just purely
Make sure
for that.
you critique his photograph skills.
Yeah. And,
Photography skills.
I usually have some like those little geeky dudes running around Japan. There's plenty of them, right? The otakus, as they call. So, and they're giving me all this scoop information on future cars. So I do a section on that, and then Taro kind of just wraps up and just talks about whatever the hell he wants to talk about. So.
All right. So
Taro,
James, Sam, who wants to go first today?
I'll go. I'll go first and make it nice and easy, since I think I'm already prepared. One moment here while I just get my photos ready.
Oh, and then Jann, we're going to probably be asking you your takes on some of the things we talk about. So if you're cool with that. And if there's something like we asked you can't talk about, I don't know if it's some secret stuff like from Nissan or something, just say, hey, man, I can't say anything. So.
Okay.